Righty. Oh, good.
Okay.
So, to get things recapped, last session, we are once again reunited with Karul, at least a version of him, a fragment of his soul, which has up until this point been trapped in his contract, has been protected by a surrender. Karul is returned, and you are all left to deal with the fallout of that.
Haha.
Discussions of Pico Taro, discussions of what could possibly be done for Eldrelith, whilst also interrogating the drow, Sinistre, learning all that she has, and under Sleer's watchful eye, getting your satisfactory answers. All of this culminating in, well, a reunion, another one, as Ulster spent most of this game kidnapped by his loving husband, Loran. Now, they went to the Lavender Field. They discussed their relationship, what had happened, what might happen still, and also was able to talk Loran back off of quite the villain arc, managing to pull him back towards reality and ground him again. Are you going to put it all the way down?
Yeah, it's just really blurry. Yeah. Oh, sorry guys.
Where was I? We were all of us reunited in Serenaras's mansion, as you all had a sudden realization that, well, Karul is in there with very few people to look out for. And he opens the door to find
You left him unsupervised?
Lucas and Rolme. And was it also Serena in there?
No.
Does anyone remember?
I think so.
I think
It might have
Serena
been.
was guarding
Sinistre.
Oh.
So it's
Sinistre,
Sharp
that's
Pistol, Roll Me, and Lucas.
Sharp Pistol, Rolme, and Lucas. All seated within Serenaras's mansion.
My family.
Your family. Holding dips, etc., etc. And one thing, just because George isn't here, but I'll read it anyway. Cass was reunited with Brian and, of course, spoke her mind and got a little chip off her chest to Gerald, claiming that he no longer had her trust, in spite of everything you've been through together.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
So to give you a little bit of placement of people, all of you are together at the moment, except Freya, I'll say, because Cass isn't here and I think she would have stayed back for this. Neff is there, but we will get to that as well. Jaral and Karul are together in one of the rooms of the mansion with Saraza guarding them. And in front of you, you have the former royals and the current co-king of the Masai. So, I will take a sip. I will reiterate the previous ending we had. You all fall through the door of Serenaras's mansion, where you are faced with quite the scene. A table filled with, frankly, delicious-looking dips, olives, flatbreads, and crackers. Service the likes of which you have not received from Serenaras ever since, well, Loran had a little outburst. Serenaras looks calm with their back to the fire, just kind of taking in the sight of Rolme, Sharp Pistol, and Lucas seated all together, staring kind of just vaguely blank ahead, with Rolme specifically twiddling his thumbs, holding a broken flatbread in his hands, just like... And Ulster, what do you say again?
Well, you see.
Rolme looks up at you. And he says, "What do I see exactly?"
Well, you don't have to see him. He's locked away. Not locked away, under voluntary house arrest.
Voluntary.
Yeah, we wrote a contract so he actually can't hurt anyone.
Hurt anyone.
Mm.
Oops, that music.
Music.
Yes, Anna.
Sorry, did we escort Brian there, or did Loran
We all
take
ran
him
together.
All together. Everybody's here at the moment.
all together? Good. All right.
The only person within your party who isn't here is Saraza, because he's watching them boys, them villainous boys.
Okay.
Rolmy looks at the rest of the party and says, "Did none of you have anything to say to this?" Eye kind of twitching.
I didn't really give them a chance.
I was kind of dead.
Yeah.
And then we didn't know.
Lucas is just kind of like staring at the table, like,
But it's all fine now because Kia's contained and in a shell,
in his body,
and we still have the contract in place. So
in his body,
yeah,
that we can't hurt.
no, he can't hurt us though.
We have another problem. Perhaps more pressing.
Yes.
Undead Picotaro, and there's some sort of contingency magic on him.
More important, we should focus on that.
Rolmy says, "When you say contingency magic," trying very hard to focus, but his eyes keep wandering around the room.
I'm guessing we don't know what the contingency is.
Not quite.
Lucas,
But surely
Mhm.
some sort of negative consequence.
Lucas has a deep sigh. And then Sorelloras, kind of looking at the scene, just says, "I think it would be best all of you were to sit together and have some sort of conference, planning what it is to do next. I don't know if that's amicable to you, but they look kind of like forlornly at their dips. I suppose there's enough to go around."
How kind of you. Did Sinestro give us any hint of what the contingency was?
Emma, perhaps I'm forgetting, did Sinestra give us any hint to what the contingency was other than bad?
Bad. Let me just have a check on my notes for you.
It will be bad for your health. And maybe everybody around you.
Because we need to move him from the castle in that case.
A very
Sorry, that was just me being a goof, not Slia cutting up.
A very quick kind of recap for you. Sinestre killed Picotaro, brought back using Elijah's experimental magics. And you kind of get the impression that in killing you, she was also like kind of fulfilling a part of a deal with him, sort of that, perhaps there would be a chance to kind of inflict the same contingency on the party. From Elijah's side, at the very least, from Sinestre's side, it was, well, to stop your destiny, to execute you in the way that she would eventually be executed herself. But that much is what you kind of learned from the interrogation. In regards to what exactly Picotaro could do, there wasn't much said about him specifically. But the wider implication was that a prayer as a whole country was in grave danger.
Emma,
Hello.
do we roll some sort of history check or something else to like determine if when she was doing detect magic on Pikataro, so she could definitely sense that he was like definitely undead.
Yeah.
But was there anything in terms of like alignment? Or would she know that? Would she strain to know it?
Roll me an intelligence check, please.
Well, I don't have to look up the modifier. That's yep.
Oh.
13.
With 13, I think you would probably have been able to guess that his alignment was within your expectations of Pikotaro. A sort of neutral to good scope. The thing which was worrying to you was the undead.
Yeah.
Seated now around the table as you are, Loran leans forward and just says, friends, I don't mean to interrupt this very important conversation, Sinister, but there is something that I need to tell you all that is very important and cannot go unsaid any longer. Now, looks at Sharpest Soul and Roll Me. I don't know how much you two know of memory magic. Not any of you, for that matter. I don't think you're particularly well versed in it. That's not a criticism. That's just a fact.
Also, it's just like that's.
However, what I can tell you is that if your memory is tampered with multiple times, it does have an effect on your psyche and how you are able to, let's just say, function as a person. Now, if your memory is tampered with once, it's not such a consequence. Twice, you can become a little bit insecure and unstable. 3 times can completely break your mind. Think a permanent feeble mind spell. Now, in the case here of Points to Ulster, he made a slight agreement, which was that if anything were to happen to Karul, attacked, harmed in any way, some of his memories would be forfeit, which would completely break his mind. I've only very recently come into this knowledge, and it's my belief and understanding that any of you harm by any measure, you will hurt also as well. Irreparable. Which is not a word I use lightly.
Good thing I used the anti-magic field when Cass was going after Karul earlier.
Excuse me? Who did what now? And then I assume Cass is here. But for the sake of brevity, I think Neff will probably say, now, don't have a fight. Everything's fine. And Loran would very, very reluctantly calm down so that we can have this conversation when Jordan.
I have a question.
Ulster, you have the floor.
When and how was my memory tampered with a 3rd time?
I don't fully know.
Who knows?
Well, a second time, right? Because this 3rd time hasn't happened yet. Because it's a consequence of the...
Yes.
Okay, so my memory's been wiped twice. One of which was, he points to Romy, you. No one knows anything about the 2nd time.
I don't. I can, however, recognise the signs.
Okay. Then we just have to Cooperate with Karul. Right?
All of the Messian royals just kind of avert their eyes.
Is that not what I should have said? Because I feel like that was a sensible approach to the situation.
It
Lucas
protects
says,
you,
I think
so
I
it's
have
the
some
only
ideas.
option.
Lucas says, I think I have some ideas about what sensible could have been.
Yes, but that's just looking back on the past, and we must look to the future.
Easy for you to say. You dictated where we are now.
I'm also the one who will die if it goes wrong, and I am ready to bear that consequence.
I'm not. I don't want you to die.
I don't want to die either.
Also, you won't die. You'll be living in purgatory of the mind.
That sounds like death to me.
Regardless, this is the only option that we have moving forward.
It is, and I think it's time that Ulster takes a step back from this situation.
What do you mean, a step back? I can help. I had a rest. I was in the Feywild for 8 hours. That was a step back. I know you're angry with me. I know a lot of you are upset and angry, but all I can do is make the best of the decisions and acknowledge that I made them without consulting anyone, and I apologize. But since I made them, the best we can do is just move forward and cooperate with Karul. I truly don't think that he plans to hurt anyone here. He was inside my head. I don't think he's going to pose a danger. I think the real danger right now is Pikotaro and Elijah. And if we can put our heads together and think of a way to face that situation, and perhaps even talk to Karul and learn what he knows about this contingency plan, then we're just making the best of it.
What do you mean he was inside your head? Rolmy says, leaning forward.
He possessed me to try and escape with Jaral.
Lucas sighs and stands up. There you have it then. You said you'd abdicate.
I said I'd abdicate if he caused any harm to the Messian people or my friends.
Are you not one of them?
I said I was willing to take the consequences on myself.
How do you think this makes me feel?
I'm consulting you now, Lucas.
I couldn't protect you. I'm a king.
I'm not hurt. I'm emotionally upset, but he looks down at himself.
When someone hurts your feelings, we call it hurt. When someone hurts you, emotionally or physically, it translates to pain. Ulster.
I don't have time to feel too emotionally hurt by it.
Just
Not
because you're
to
not giving
mention
yourself
the
time.
physical duress that he placed on your body by not taking care of it.
Solely unintentionally.
Loran says,
I'm the only one who knows to use that magic anyway.
that's not how that works. Loran says. Cass can attest.
What would you have me do then? What would be your opinion?
Who are you directing that to?
The party?
Sorry, I'll just be one.
Aside from like Slea's kind of like we'll call it mild mouthing off, Ulster would actually get the vibe that like he knows her well enough. She's on his side.
He feels a little bit better.
Like he
can't
just
step
catches little like reassuring glances at him.
Lucas says, "This is not how I want our reign to start."
Unfortunately, our reign started in a very difficult time. If we don't act soon, forget the material plane, everything will fall. We started at the end of the world.
You know, it's okay to think. Just so that you can get through the day on a smaller scale than that. Perhaps if you'd done that, you would have looked after yourself better. I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm not trying to scold you. I'm trying to help. I meant what I said. I don't want you to come to any hurt. And I don't want you to look at me and see. And he stops himself, glances at Rolmy. I'm not a villain here.
Oh, sorry.
I'm someone you should have collaborated with. And I'm telling you now, because I couldn't say before, because you didn't give us a chance. This is not the right way for us.
What do you mean?
Bringing Karul back into the world, considering what he did to the country.
It's too late, Lucas. And he pulls down the side of his shirt to expose part of the contract. It's too late.
But that doesn't mean you have to continue to engage with him.
Then it'll be for nothing.
Hello.
Hey, George. I don't want this to be for nothing. I don't know if you understand that fragment is a tiny part of him, and I am not scared of it. I don't think that it can do damage in the way that Karul could, and I'm not ready to forgive Karul, but I don't want to be scared of him anymore. Not when he can help, and when we now know the worst he could do was try and run away with the person he loved using my body. Can it get worse than that? Because if it can, then I'll listen. But if it can't, I'm willing to accept what happened and guard against it in the future.
Well, then that's all said then. Lucas stands up. People are still in turmoil. It would do well if they could see the face of their king.
I will make a round once we decide what to do with Pico Taro. If he's an immediate threat, we need to face it right now. Where is he?
Where we left him. Anna?
And Blue would be the one raising her hand.
Yes.
In terms of him being a danger, not that we know much about what's going on, but as far as I could detect in him, it is him, as in it seems like the way he is, as in it's not like he's being currently possessed or something. So there's that, like when he's been walking about, it just seems like it's him, but he's undead. But I guess the danger is, can something remotely control him? Otherwise, it is him, I think.
I think we need to remove him from the palace.
Lucas nods. I agree. I'll see to it that he's well guarded. Let me know when you're coming.
I will. I just want to try and ascertain what the magic is and what we're looking at. If it's Elijah, then.
I'm in no doubt of that.
Too
From the
much.
sounds of it, this Elijah person, though I've never met them, is a force to be reckoned with.
Too much tampering might, while it could potentially reveal what the contingency is, it could also just as likely set it off.
We could say we're removing him from the palace for his own safety. We believe there's assassination plots in place. A shelter can be erected outside. Remember what happened when Karul almost died? He started raining down hellfire.
Exactly.
Lucas walks out of the mansion, but he motions for you to come with him, Ulster, if you'll come for it.
Ulster will go.
On the other side of the door, when he opens it, you realise that Strelaras has moved the entrance again, leading you instead of the main Great Hall, quite a public place. You now find yourselves kind of tucked away in the corner of the palace, right by the library doors. And Lucas blinks and looks a bit bewildered and disoriented, but he gathers himself. And as he closes the door behind him, he looks at you and he just says, "Also, I'm allowed to be upset. Okay? Don't try. Some things you just can't explain away for me. These feelings aren't just going to go. Okay? So just let me feel what I need to feel."
You can be upset at me.
I don't want to hear you say that. I just want you to listen. I know I can be upset at you. Let it be.
Okay.
He kind of just puts a hand on your shoulder and pulls you in for a hug.
Ulster's like, what?
And just says, "I hate what you did, but I'm glad you're okay and you're safe. Trust me a bit more."
I do trust you, otherwise I wouldn't have become a king alongside you.
Let's show that to the people, or show it to me.
I'm telling you everything I plan on doing. And I will take your words into account, take precautions.
It's not I, Ulster.
Everyone.
It's us. We don't work separately anymore. If this is how it's going to be, if this is going to work, we can't.
Okay, then we will remove Kikotaro from the palace. I'm sure you can make up a good excuse.
We don't need one.
And as soon as I have some indication what the magic is, I will take precautions. I will ask Karul. I will try and divine what I can. We can face this and maybe even save him. The worst case is having to put his soul to rest.
Get used to saying we. Kind of laughs a bit. Jokes.
Also pats his shoulder. I'm sorry I don't respond in the way that you're used to. I've been working on my emoting.
That's not at all what I'm. That's not what I'm getting at all. I know what you're like. We grew up together. Ulster.
Has it gotten better?
Did it need to? Doesn't really matter to me. The part of me that is upset is not upset at the way you express yourself. is it set up your actions, and that's fine. He will walk away at this point because I think he. So long as he's like happy that you guys are leaving it on a positive note and not a misunderstandings.
Okay. Also, we'll go back inside.
Ulster very briefly steps out, and Cass. This whole conversation's been about Pico Taro and what to do with him, and whether or not we should be using Karul for information. Also, your hair looks really nice today.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yee.
Oh.
Now, I think because it probably fits a little bit better here, Loran will reiterate what he said to everybody before, which is that Ulster's mind has been tampered with to the extent that if we attack Karul and he has to forfeit any more memories, Ulster will be no better than permanently feeble-minded. And Celia mentioned that you used the Eldritch Blast, or tried to, on earlier. And Loran had a very strong reaction to that. So if you want to react on that, or if you want to talk to Loran, or want to do anything at all, that's fine, and you can do. Yeah. But it's up to you.
Okay. Sorry. I think Cass.
You sound a lot better.
Yeah, I am a little bit. Cough isn't as bad. It comes in waves. So,
No.
yeah.
If you need
Also,
to take camera off, that's fine at any point.
And also, I don't offer my headphones anywhere. So when I'm not talking, I'll mute myself. So if there's an echo, suck it up. There's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, anyway, sorry. I think at that, Cass is just quietly seething in a corner this time, I would say that, like, hearing that about Brian, she's now like damn it, he's really off limits now. But and she's clearly apologetic, and obviously the last thing she wants to do is hurt Brian, but she will, at that moment in time, she was not thinking clearly, which she won't do now. But she's also just because I tail end of what Brian said about the fragment and it not being as strong as Karul and it not being challenging. And I think it's quite clear that Cass very much disagrees and is not particularly happy with what Brian has to say when it comes to that. Also, I've had a thought about what Cass would have been researching in that dead time that you said would have had.
The library is right next to you guys for a reason.
Yeah. I think Cass would have been researching soul contracts and soul fragments because for her soul fragment, it was because Cass has never been evil. She's always been morally vague at times, never been evil, but her soul fragment was evil.
Yeah.
So the contract clearly corrupted her soul. Then Karul is saying that he's not evil and that he became evil after signing the contract, but this soul fragment isn't. She's wondering how her soul, which when she wasn't evil, became evil, and Karul, who we all know as a person was evil, and their soul is apparently not. So I think that's what she, even before, this was obviously in the dead time, this is before realising that Brian had been possessed, but I think that's what she'd be focusing on with research.
Cool. So what information would have been there for you? It would have been somewhat limited, but there would still be fragments you could have unearthed. Mostly to do with how the souls sustain the beings that they that sort of like make the contract. So a piece of information you might have come across is that the contract is like a save point, and let's use video game terminology. But it is affected by how you act and the things you do in your real life. So it takes all the promises and all the potential and it kind of like freezes them at that point in the contract. Now, there is an agreement between the contractee and the contractor. So Alan and you, for example.
I'm getting called. This is the most annoying time.
That's okay, don't worry. I'm going to go to the loo actually. So we can just take a very quick break.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the phone call.
That's okay. I'll explain it. I was practicing my words with Lily so that I could explain it well with you. So you would kind of come across all that what I said just then. The way that devils are sustained by contracts, by souls. And an important piece of information you'd have come across is the idea of potential energy in a soul. So in Karul's case, in Karul's case, he acted on his contract and took it as far as it could go and used up, as far as you can understand, the magic, the promises that was kept between him and Alan. And in dying to fulfill that contract, the sort of like anger and all the resentment and the energy, instead of being channeled into himself and into his own being, was taken and channeled into Alan, leaving behind only a fragment of who he was. In your case, when you were inhabited by your soul contract, none of that anger, none of that potential had been fully realized yet. You didn't follow Alan's path as far as it could go. And so you get the impression that the reason it was so difficult for you compared to what Karul was going through, why there's a difference or a dissonance there, is because you became a melting pot of everything that your soul's potential could be, as evil as it could become. Having never really acted on the evil potential within you, this was the only chance it could get to express itself. And that's why it was so severe for you versus... Think of it like an allergic reaction. Whereas...
Because had gone like, nah, Alan, you're right.
Exactly.
What you're asking me to do sounds a bit shit.
Yeah.
It means that all of the things, the promises that I had given Alan, which I didn't fulfill, just sort of corrupted and festered and became bad.
Yeah.
Like basically my contract became rotten because I didn't like bleed it. Whereas Karul's contract was kept quite clean because out in the real world, Karul was doing the bad things that he was supposed to do.
Exactly. Which actually, I wonder if that would give you a slight moral quandary as you realise all the horrible people in the world who've made contracts have like a little nice version of themselves.
A little nice version.
But anyway.
Okay, so from that, and like, so this version of Karul is an uncorrupted version of the Karul who signed the contract. So it still doesn't necessarily mean he's not bad per se, but it's not the contract itself has influenced him.
This is still the Karul who killed his entire clan. And
maybe we should ask him about that.
Yeah. And along with Jaral, killed many other people.
And other ornament of bad things.
Yeah, he did a lot of bad stuff still. And so, because he and Jaral were together for a very long time before they crossed the party. And I think coming across the party again and sending Valis off and all that kind of things, all those kinds of things, though he's still responsible for them, the lines that he crossed with you guys were certainly after the fact of making the contract and going a bit feral. Not to excuse those at all, because I don't want to undermine how horrible those things were. But it at least gives you an explanation as to why his alignment's a bit more complex.
I think if you don't, it's not about excusing them. It's about these sort of two different Karuls in the sense of this is a Karul pre those decisions. Not to mean that he didn't necessarily make those decisions again, but they still didn't make those decisions. But yeah, okay, I think because basically Cass is just, I think what she was concerned about is the fact that like her soul fragment was so like clearly evil that she was like, how, like, and Karul himself is a really bad person. So she was like, how could this soul fragment be not awful? So I think she's.
Am I worse than Karul?
Cass suddenly becomes the big bad in the final act.
Like, oh,
That would be really funny. I would love that.
Oh yeah, that'd be so funny and not all traumatizing.
But like, it would be set up. Cass could become like the evil one.
It's not set up, Emma. It's not.
Wow, I'm feeling really attacked right now. George, back me up. Wouldn't that be super fun?
You said that to me a month ago with All Star. You just want to make good characters bad.
Anyway. Sorry, I've just been flailing. With that information in mind, I think Georgia might have gotten another call. So, also, you come back inside. Cass is quietly fuming in the corner. However, you see her kind of like, I would say probably acting a little bit on this, or being informed a little bit on this information, by this information, not as actively feral as she usually is, or angry, but still not quite happy to be there. And a voice sort of like calls out to you, and it is a voice that hasn't spoken so far, and it's your mother. And Charlotte still kind of looks at the whole group of you, and she just says,
"You silly duffers.
You silly heifers." You know Waterstones is taking over Blackwell's?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. No. What was I going to say? So, she looks at the lot of you, and she just says, listen, I think Rolmy and Lucas, Cass, and maybe even Loran have given you a piece of their minds to the negative. And that is understandable. But you might be surprised when I say that I think that this is going to be useful for you. I'm not saying you made the right decision, but I agree that it's best you make the most of it, that it is made. Otherwise, that would have been pretty stupid of you.
And I am not stupid.
Well,
he looks around for validation.
You're a king.
He looks at the ram. I'm not
Loran,
stupid.
You have wisdom and intelligence.
Slee was taken aback that anybody would call Ulster stupid.
Loran is very clearly joking.
I'm not stupid.
And don't worry, no. Sharp Pistol wasn't calling him stupid, she's saying that would have been stupid.
I don't do stupid things.
Sharp Pistol says, well, even the smartest of us are capable of fluctuating wisdom at point. Yes, exactly. Good choice of words.
Like leaving your 4-year-old child alone for 6 months of the year at a time.
So smart I am. Anyway.
You were saying?
I was saying that even though you've made a mistake, it would be a shame to waste what you've done so far. So I might be alone in saying this, looking at Rolmy and the empty seat where Lucas once sat. But all of you now, I believe, have a duty to use this new source of information to whatever extent you can. And then, when all that is done, really consider whether or not you can let it remain. I'm not concerned with how you use it, because I think you will be smart in how you back. What I can't be sure of is whether you'll have the courage to do what needs to be done at the end of all this.
There are different types of courage, I think.
I think so too.
And also, I think Jamal might have a few words about this.
Remember, I didn't say him.
Oh no, I was just saying in general, if I want to speak to Jaral, but he probably won't want to speak to me. Well,
Zarina is watching Sinestre. I will, with your permission, pass on everything, though I have a feeling she already knows.
as for Sinestre, also looks at Slia. I was going to talk to Lucas about passing the execution this evening. As in carrying it out, as in,
As in, Jarrell's going to slit her throat. Loran leans forward and just says, "Yeah, we're discussing murder, death, execution. Come back to us."
Oh, was he what was that at Slia?
Yeah, all of that was at Slia.
All of that was specifically at Slia.
Yeah, Slia looked like she kind of zoned out unblinkingly for like a couple of minutes.
Well, I will let you process that.
It's done. I've made my request, and it's finished.
We can put her body on ice after. Then, what we have left to do is determine what magic is contained as a contingency within Picotaro. Now, you've spoken to Sinestre. We know it exists. I would like to speak to Karul about it. But I would also like to be accompanied, as I've found out that doing things by myself with Karul is a bad idea.
I think every NPC in the room looks at you like, uh-huh.
Yeah. So, of course, if you do not want to speak to him, that is fine. If you don't want to be in the same room as him, again, that is fine. But I do think he'll be able to help us in this situation.
I want to be with you.
Thank you.
I'll go. Being around him doesn't bother me.
I assume Jarrell will be there as well. He looks at Loran. What would you like to do?
With regards to coming and seeing Karul, we got along so well before. Might as well come along.
Okay. And I'm just going to pretend Cass isn't here until George comes back. Then, would someone kindly point me in the direction? I don't remember being in here with him.
Bluey would sort of walk slowly.
Oh, sorry, hang on. Sorry, excuse me. I completely forgot a thing. If you're talking about going to see Karul, Loran would... Sorry, I was reading spells. I was lost from the moment. Loran would look at you all, Sarah, and just say, "I do not think this is good. You talking to him?
Why?
But I am going to come along anyway as a sign of trust in you."
Insight.
Yeah, same. Can we all do a little bit of
15.
insight?
No, 16.
Yeah.
16.
16.
No one trusts Loran right now.
25.
19, I think.
19. Everybody, wait.
You get the vibe Ulster wants to trust Loran, but he's like, oh no.
Oh, it was I thought the insight was into Loran.
Yeah,
it is, yes.
Okay.
No, I was saying, that's
I'm
why
saying, yeah.
I was excusing why Ulster rolled a 16, because it's very low compared to his usual rolls.
Slia and Bluey, you get the impression that Loran is currently casting a spell around Ulster as he kind of like speaks to him. If you want to know the emotion behind his words, he is incredibly reluctant to go and have Loran Ulster be around Karul again.
Could Bluey do some sort of really quick arcana check?
Yeah, I was gonna say same. Like get a vibe check on the spell.
Vibe check.
Do I notice it or no?
Oh, we're 16.
No.
I'm sorry.
Emma, this is a very disgusting number.
Go on.
I think I just rolled a 30, but minus 3 because I'm still exhausted.
Yeah.
Is that
27.
still- I thought that decreased every day.
Yeah,
from
we
being-
haven't rested. Unless we
It
have.
starts -4. 18.
I'm down
minus
to minus
four.
3.
-3.
Got brought back.
Yeah, once. So it starts as -4.
Goes to -3.
-3.
-2.
Right.
Just a small question. If we did wait 8 hours for Brian to be in the Feywild,
Could have slept.
would we have rested then?
That's a very good point.
I think
Would
Slia
you
might
like
have
this to
read.
be the morning?
Slia would have
Or would you
definitely
like-
slept. She's
It would
so
be the morning.
tired.
Okay,
So
then I'll
-2
say,
then.
then I'll say let's reorientate this, because instead of having this being in the evening, that you guys would have slept and you can have had this conversation in the morning. So if you want to take the benefits of a long rest, you can. So Slia, it's a -2.
Thank you.
So 28.
So the insight. Sorry, because of being ill, I need to make sure that I'm very much on it with work. What are we doing?
Isn't
What's
that so annoying? Like they don't even let you have like an ease back in. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Anyway. But yeah. You had literal COVID. Anyway.
Capitalism
It's
doesn't
fine.
care.
Yeah.
You can't be productive if you're sick.
fine because I work late on Mondays so that I can do this on Tuesdays. So,
Oh yeah.
so what are we doing? Are we checking Loran? Is Loran being?
Yeah, Loran is being sus.
He's casting something on Ulster, but Ulster hasn't noticed.
Oh, boom! 19. For my
19. Yes,
check.
you also notice. Loran.
The only one who doesn't notice.
Here, you notice that Loran is casting a globe of invulnerability.
A globe.
Can
Of
I?
invulnerability.
Because I don't know what that is, and I
Yes.
feel like can I Arcana check it to see if Cass would actually know?
Of course you can.
Wasn't that the first spell Karul cast when he met us?
Yeah.
25.
It's a pretty good one. 25, yeah, you would recognise this spell. So yeah, that is what is going on here. Also, you don't notice it, but Loran just sort of says, kind of like in your mind, he says, I don't like this.
Ulster replies out loud, "It'll be okay." And he'll follow Bluey, but he'll just take Loran's hand and give it a squeeze.
He doesn't move yet, though. So if you hold his hand, you kind of like get pulled back a little.
Are you not coming?
He just says, no, of course I'm coming. But you only just came back.
Yes, but Pico Taro is a ticking time bomb. I had 8 hours, Loran, we agreed. I rested.
All right, go then. And he comes with you.
Ulster keeps walking. Do we see Sarazar outside? Just like,
Yeah, you guys all head on. And Sarazar is outside the door. Just like,
hello. Long time no see.
It's, oh. He kind of looks closer. Is you in there?
Yes, because he isn't there.
You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. Specifically to you, I know you were in the locket.
No, I'm sorry. I believed you were capable of. He looks around at everyone else. He holds his arms up for a hug if you're willing.
Also, give him a hug.
Cass, as we're all moving towards the room with Karul inside, what are you doing? Are you coming along? Are you hanging back?
I think at this point, Cass is now. Before it was the case of I don't trust myself in the vicinity of Karul. I'm staying out, but now she trusts Karul so little. She's like, I don't trust Karul with everyone else. Ryan is obviously compromised and is not taking this seriously, and the others might be.
He's taking it very seriously.
Not seriously. I think Cass is just very worried about how much you seem to be like underestimating the soul fragment. That's I think what she's more worried about. And so I think now she's got the opposite. She's going to be like in the corner, like I want to murder somebody, but I can't. Yes, type vibe.
In your mind, Cass, you hear Loran's voice just sort of say, now, no magic, not at Karul.
I won't.
Promise. You get the impression he really wants to insight check you. But
He can insight check. He can insight. Is that fine?
It's relatively low. Let me just get my little sheet open. Run to Hain.
Game on to Hain.
Sorry, I'm singing the song.
It's game on to Hain.
I know. Right. With an insight of 15.
That's enough. Cass is sincere. I think he could pick up. I mean, it's not going to be. I think I would have given it to you on a 2 of insight. She's very angry, and there's a lot of rage. But it's now that she's been told the full extent of like what will happen to Brian if she attacks Karul, she won't. But she's going to be there. She also kind of she knows that if Karul attacks them, the contract's null and void, and then she can go ham. So she's kind of hoping for that.
Nice. Gotcha. Okay. Loran nods, seems kind of satisfied with this. And then he says, any chance you can set up that telepathic bond so we can talk to each other without having to talk to him?
You literally see this. I'm gonna fucking murder.
Do you remember that time, like tail end of Japan, where we would constantly have like psychic moments?
That's so annoying.
That's so funny. I feel like there's some places where it's easier to have psychic energy kind of pass through you than others, and I don't know why, but Japan is one of them. Ever since we've been here, I feel like this is like a mental psychic block because we can never have psychic time.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we do the number thing where you count down and try and get the same number, it's always different.
No.
3.
No,
2.
I'm not doing
it. Okay, yeah. So before we break, we need 10 minutes so Cass can do the telepathic link.
You guys sit outside the door for about 10 minutes.
With Sarah, we're chatting.
With Sarah, just kind of like chatting, and you hear after a while, just from the other side of the door,
You're coming in.
We're all just like, we can hear you.
Shut it.
Yes, Liz.
No
Yeah,
response.
and you can come out.
Karul's just
and join
getting
us.
bullied. You said you don't have any friends.
There's no response. Bluey?
Bluey would want to ask Sarza, did anything happen?
Nothing to report, really.
They both
I
seem
didn't-
fine.
Seemed fine. I didn't listen to their conversations. I didn't really want to know.
Is Sarza okay?
Bluey, what's your passive insight?
I think it would only be 12. Yeah, it's 12.
You can feel like a little bit uncomfortable for having sat outside, but not for anything like particularly nefarious. You just get the impression he doesn't really want to be sympathetic to Karul in any way.
You okay?
Would like to get this over. That's not very nice. Someone calls from behind the door.
I mean, it's probably going to be a repeat thing, so you don't have to be involved.
He looks at all of you. Cass, Bluey,
We love you.
Ulster,
Sarah,
Sarah, Neff.
We love you, Sarah, so much.
I love you all. It's just, I didn't want it to have to be like this.
We never do. I'm trying to use we sentiments because Lucas told me to. We and us.
Mm-hmm. Do.
Also, as a communist suddenly. By the way, who's looking after he married Valis?
Oh, Daniel.
Okay, that's good.
Freya.
Freya.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I
That's
tried
fine.
for a bit, and then he fell down trying to chase after me. So
He fell down?
Dural opens the door.
Oh,
What happened?
hi, Gerald.
also, he tripped. But I carried him the rest of the way, and I tried to play a fun game with him, but when he tripped, hello.
Doggy.
Put my brownie in the drawer.
Jennifer,
The drawer?
I've still got a brownie and the cats will eat it.
Oh, okay.
Bring in the Kit Kats.
I don't know where they are.
We can bring in Baz. Wait,
Baz is walking around.
Last week, Baz was in the hospital.
I don't know where he is.
Hang on, I'll go get it.
Lala's probably on the radiator.
And this week he's who knows where,
Who knows?
but not in hospital, which is good.
No, he's running around being silly. He was giving me the best cuddle this morning. He's such a good cuddler. And last night he went, and he covered his face with his hands, and I was just like, I love you so much. You need to come visit him, George, when you're feeling better.
Yeah,
Come visit the baby.
Diary for Cambridge. Oh, in my dream, I was trying to get on Discord to play a game with you guys, and my Discord wasn't working. And I was like messaging you guys, and I was like, they won't believe me, but it's broken.
I still think we should play Among Us in character.
I think that would be funny.
Yeah,
So he's got a little shaved patch. Just
got a couple shaved patches.
And then under his chin, you can't really see it anymore. And then it's healing up really well. But he has his tummy shaved. And a little scar just there.
Aww.
But he's okay, we can pick him up now and he's sleeping with us again. As of last night, so
yeah.
He's doing really well.
Good.
And he's doing poo-poos.
He is doing poo-poos!
I'm so happy to hear that.
Very good to hear you.
Anyway, so as Dural kind of opens the door, sort of psychically summoned by the mention of Valis falling over, he opens as if he's, his usual self, just kind of like alert and very like aware, looking for his son. And then the moment Ulster, you say hello, he just kind of like has like a very like minor panic attack before you all, and just sort of like freezes up and awkwardly steps aside.
Droll seeing Brian since Brian is Brian again.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when his eyes then fall on you, Cass, even more so he retreats inside of himself.
We've come to speak to Karul.
Would you like to stay, or would you like to go check on Valis?
Karul, like, don't leave me!
He looks at Karul and just says, he's safe with
He's safe with us.
Sorry.
Physically.
Oh.
I just don't know how mean they're going to be. Joel, I can't promise.
Freya's good with kids.
Freya is kids from the sisterhood. Glares at Karul.
Sorry.
Karul in the back are like, ugh.
I did nothing wrong.
I did nothing wrong.
I did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong at all.
Oh my god.
Who's trying to get you a tea? Can't have it. I'll tell you one thing. The vet described what was blocking Baz's system as a triangular object, and we both thought
It was a dice.
it was a D4. We were so certain, but it wasn't. It was a little bit of his bowl, and we were so terrified that he'd just eaten dice.
I wouldn't put it past him, to be honest.
Ceramic?
It's a feeding mat that made of silicone. The texture clearly was meaty enough that he thought it was food. And Lala did the same thing. The difference is Lala threw it up. He was just able to expel it from his system. He had 2 little bits of it in his tummy. Baz had to go to the freaking doctor and get himself cut open to get it. And he didn't even get it! It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's beside the point. That's not D&D. That's not fantasy.
He's fine.
Gerald steps aside and chooses to stay. Karul does not respond to the sisterhood comment, but he does look at you, Cass. And everyone, Karul is kind of sitting up, sort of like on the bed, just kind of like hands clasped and looking between a lot of you.
Mm. Also kind of flinches when he sees him. He's like, no, it's fine.
Check, please. I feel like Cass is just, it's not even that she's trying to intimidate, but I feel like she's that angry, I'd like to roll one anyway.
Understood.
That would be a 30.
30. Okay.
Wow.
So, with a 30, Karul looks at you, looks at Ulster, looks back at you, and then just kind of looks at himself like, everything's fine. Not scared. Not scared at all.
I would like to say this is the first time also seeing Karul in his body. He looks a bit like, he picks up his staff and he just jabs his leg to see if he's solid. He's like,
You don't poke me.
he pokes him again.
Okay.
Solid.
If that
Right, he's not a
constitutes-
hallucination. He is
if that
real.
constitutes as hurt, then you're
Didn't
hurt.
hurt.
Ouch. Karul says.
Anna, sorry.
It didn't
you
hurt.
cut out.
Ouch.
If that constituted as hurt, then you would hurt.
Yeah,
I think
also,
possession then would count as hurt.
with spells that like is any spell against this isn't I guess I am planning things.
Intent to cause. I think it's intent to cause physical harm.
So if you did
Sorry,
like
the definition.
person spell or like
Or
something
like Zone of
that,
Truth or Detect Thoughts.
That's fine.
so like things like that aren't, is it only spells and attacks that damage?
Is
Sorry.
withholding freedom harm?
And we're back to possession again.
If withholding freedom is harm, then Karul's already broken the
Yeah, then
contract.
Karul's already broken.
And Cyrillus would have told us if the contract was broken. I mean, they didn't tell us that Brian was being
well,
possessed.
It wasn't, but
It's all on my back if you want to check the fine print.
you get the impression they might actually not.
Oh.
From everything that the way they've been acting so far.
Right. Would everyone like to take a seat?
Cass
Except me, I choose to stand. Yeah.
Facing the back with a knife, like lurking.
Loran summons a chaise longue and just lies down.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If Loran looks like he'd allow it, Blue would sit on the very end of the chaise.
Yeah, you can perch.
Mhm.
You can perch. He summons some grapes to float around you just so you can have them if you want them.
Okay.
I think where Brian is, this is going to position herself slightly between Brian and Karul.
Okay. Slia?
Slia just stands next to Gerald, if he'll allow it. Just kind of like hands behind her
Gerald is
back.
like shrunk back to the corner of the room. Just like,
And something y'all might pick
This
up
is
on,
incredibly
Slea's has not been emoting very much.
Mhm.
Or blinking.
You're probably wondering why we gathered you here today. Um,
I didn't think you'd want to come to Jarrell and I's wedding.
What's it for you and your meddling kids? Anyway.
Yes, was that a wedding you were planning to have in my body? Just so I know.
It was a joke.
It was hilarious. We need more information. That's actually why we're here.
Mm.
That is the constituency of our contract.
Interesting. What more could you want from me?
Well, quite a lot, actually. Laughing at me counts as hurting my feelings. Anyway, so Pico Taro is undead, and I think you might already know that. Basically, Elijah has put in a contingency plan with Elijah and Pico Taro as a kind of conduit. What do you know about this, or do you have any conjecture that could help us?
If I was Elijah and I was trying to exalt some kind of control or power over you, then I would try and target you where you are most vulnerable or most likely to act.
Where's that?
Within your own party
Mhm.
or for the good of the common people.
Okay.
I have two thoughts. One is either this contingency would affect the people you love in your party personally, or I don't know, potentially it could put the common people at risk to an extent that you wouldn't be able to save them without derailing all of your plans.
So if we remove Pico Taro from the palace, do you think that would help?
It's impossible to say. Every little helps, I suppose.
What kind of magic do you think we'd be facing?
Necromancy,
Necromancy.
his forte.
Okay. Which would present itself as
Difficult. Loran cuts in and says, "We fought zombie-like creatures, Eldrith, before, haven't we?" Looking at Cass and Ulster specifically. And you remember a very, very long time ago when the Apraean army was shackled all together
Ages ago.
outside of the palace and had essentially been dumbed down to nothing more than husks of
We
their
also
forms.
faced zombies around my Cass's father, around there,
Yeah.
and Cass's
You also
friend. And
fought,
there were lots of zombies there.
yeah, with Eddie as well and his guild. They all used
looting, I
necromancy.
want to loot the bodies, and then you were like, looted a child's body. And I felt very guilty because you'd admitted that fact.
I was horrible. Still am.
That's
Do you think then that would?
druid brooch from.
Do you think that would mean unleashing some sort of curse?
A curse needs roots. It doesn't just happen. It has to be something that can infect and reach people. So, whether it has spread wide enough to do significant damage to the world, I don't know. But a prayer is an island country. I have no doubt that at the very least, the whole of a prayer could be at risk. If not the Messiah as well, considering the small population.
We need to also consider how this disease or infliction is past because we have all interacted with people who are infected and they are here.
But how long does it take for this infection to pass? They've only been here 2-3 nights.
This I can actually help you with. Secondary exposure, I believe, is, when it comes to curses, at the very least, far less severe than primary exposure. For everyone else, think of it like radiation. If you meet someone who's been to a radioactive area, you're less likely to get radiation poisoning versus the person who's actually lived in like the radioactive area.
Okay.
There has been.
So your prediction. Sorry, Sia.
Slia would have said into the telepathic bond that this was sent during Ulster's coronation, so it makes sense that it would affect the land and the people, and acting could create an international incident.
It would be an active war.
And she would also say in that bond that there has been trace exposure in Ironstone already.
Loran says out loud, "No matter what, you absolutely cannot send Pico Toro's body back in a."
How long has he been dead for?
I don't know. Not Loran, Karul. I've been dead for a little while.
Also, it's like, I can't return his soul if it's been more than 10 days. Can't build him a new body. That would be in the domain of, he nods to Slia. I don't know, something you could do. Or my father.
If
But-
it's been more than 10 days, there's nothing I can do.
Then he is dead. Karul.
His soul's still in there. The soul hasn't departed the body. There's a chance he could do something the same way your soul was hopping around. But we need to also then remove the Apraeans from the palace. We can build a new area for them. I can cut it off from the earth if the curse seeps down. But
Also, you might not have been fully conscious for this. Thankfully, we had the same thought to move the Apraeans out. There is a camp at the edge of the coronation attendees.
is it Sarada?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then it's just Pico Taro we need to move further away.
Loran nods. Sarasa does as well.
Any more information you have, Karul, please release it to us. Even if it's just your idle wandering thoughts.
Do you think Sorelloras would have any more information than I do?
On a prayer?
I don't really know what I can offer you beyond what I know.
More than insight
What
on
he means.
Elijah.
Insight on Elijah.
Knowing his magic?
He is, believe it or not, much more abhorrent than I am.
Yes, I'd gathered.
Tough crowd. Elijah is someone who doesn't meddle with impossibility. My brand of magic, trying to make the impossible possible, doesn't particularly interest him.
Ulster adds after that, and failing quietly.
Should have known. Call it hubris. What Elijah does very well is manipulating what is real. Much like myself, preoccupation with the planes was the starting point. And then the soul. He wants to move souls around like chess pieces and just see what happens. It's all about experimentation.
And what have you on Melas?
Melas. You're getting into stuff that this version of myself knew what.
You seem to remember your death well enough. Surely you have some impression.
Melas is a pathway. A place of strong magical energy, where the veil is thin. I'm sure you already know about the whole Shadowfell dragon situation.
Oh, do enlighten us.
Melas. Alright. Well, one of the many legends of Leobaros's time spoke of one of his paladins who went to Melas and was never seen again. During my tenure as a villain amongst your story, I came across more information that this paladin was thrown into the Shadowfell and became what is known as a shadow dragon, being of the same kind as Sorelaras, a dragon who could shift into a human. Would hazard a guess that, looking at Bluey, all of those people who had gone missing in your town would likely have either been killed as sacrifices or fell into the Shadowfell, suffering a similar fate. You look distressed, but I'm not going to sugarcoat.
Can I insight check Karul at that?
Sure.
I'm basically trying to see, because the way you said it was kind of like smug and a little bit gleeful to be saying something quite horrible to a member of our party. And I want to see if that was just what is Karul's actual feedback?
Yeah.
Maybe he's just a dick.
Go for it.
Didn't hear the number, sorry.
17.
17. Karul has been often one to use humour and smugness as a defence mechanism. You get the feeling that might be somewhat at play here, to sort of distance himself from your actual plight and feeling any kind of empathy for you, not that he's really capable of that kind of emotion. You get the impression this is partially honesty, partially a way to disassociate from the events, the horrors that he's actually.
I think also what Cass is trying to find out is, did he enjoy seeing that Bluey?
I see what you mean.
Is he taking like glee and satisfaction from telling us the horrible things that are happening to our family and friends? Basically, is what Cass is trying to figure out. Because Cass is like, I don't trust this bitch. You're saying he's reformed. How nice is he? Is he enjoying hurting us all the time?
I don't think he's nice.
I'll say no, but he's not being very nice about it. He doesn't really care to sort of like spare your feelings.
I think Also, look at Jarrell. Was he always this horrible?
There were times when I was worse.
You somehow pretended to be nice for 20 years. Maybe don't hurt with your tongue as much. If you can help it. He's thinking about Bluey's feelings now.
Karul looks at you. I'm sorry for what happened to your people. At the very least, it was inevitable. It was unavoidable. It couldn't be helped.
He's trying.
Jarrell says when he actually says things multiple times, meaning the same thing, it shows that he's
Shows that he's what, sorry?
really putting some effort in.
Really appreciate that.
Let me try again then. Melas was always somewhere with a veil thin. But it was also a coastal town, unseasonably warm, summertime and spring, with abundant soil. Come on. Common folk were going to go there. People were going to settle there. That's just how things are.
This is useful information, but if you would forgive me, he nods at Louis. Karul, what would you have us do about Pico Taro right now? Because I need to act.
Get him out of the Maasai.
The country.
Yeah.
And his people?
Take them with you if you can. Contain the infection. I think that your husband there was correct. No matter what, you absolutely can send Pico Taro back dead.
So you'd have us transport them back to a prayer?
And deal with him there.
We can't move Sia.
And also, he looks at you all stare. You absolutely can make him. Or turn your hand against him. You have to pick one among you who will become the sacrificial lamb.
If we can help it, I don't plan on killing him.
Well, this has all been nice and good. See, we can get along.
Also just looks at him. Have you got anything to say to me?
I am sorry.
For?
Possessing you. And trying to run away.
Go on.
He's going to roll an insight check to see what else you want him to apologize.
I'm casting insight checking him to see if he's sincere in his apology.
Okay. So Karul rolled a 3, he says, for raging around the Maasai, pretending to be a king.
Also just looks at Jarrell, shakes his head. Then that's it. I will.
Cass, what did you roll, sorry?
21!
Good sparkle.
The past dice comes with a 19.
21.
21.
He is trying really hard to be sincere. Shocking as it is.
So he's trying to be sincere, but is he actually feeling sincere?
Yes.
Okay.
You get that exactly that way is how you get it. Yeah. Bit embarrassing.
Bit embarrassing. Well, next time we meet, you can think a little bit more on what you want to apologise for. Not just to me.
I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want to cause you distress. I wasn't thinking about you. I'll be completely honest. I was thinking about myself. I'd been trapped in that piece of paper for decades. Watching as all of the promises and the power and anger, the determination I felt was pulled away. And I only had myself left. You can't go through something like that without realizing what's important to you. So I acted on it. I had a chance to have family.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted that. Believe it or not, when I came to the Maasai, I had thoughts to bring you into my family. I wanted to treat you that way. You were a child who had no one. Yes, you had a lot to offer me as well, in terms of your power, your potential. But I never would have.
You never would have hurt. I'm asking you to apologise not for what you did after you signed the contract, but your intentions before as well.
I regret what happened with my family. I no doubt made things in your country worse, looking at Cass and Bluey. And I worked with the very people who drove you out of the Underdark. I have personally offended and wronged each and every one of you to varying degrees. And for that, I am sorry. I will say only one thing in my own, not defense, but favor, which is that Loran and I had the same goal in reality. Where I came from, controlled by the Sealy Court, everything was a mess. No one could get anything done. The stagnation of the mortal plane was seeping, slowly but surely, into all the others. Nothing was changing. And I saw the chance to change that, to act. So I took it. And that is the honest to God truth. At least a few people believed what I was doing was right. People who you've readily forgiven. I know I haven't shown growth quite like some of the others you used to fight have. But give me an opportunity. And let's see how far I can go.
Also looks like he's on the verge of tears. Good.
Loran stands up.
I think Cass steps forward before we are finished. You say you wanted a family. What happens once you've got that? If we let you out and let you live as you normally would, what's to stop you making a new contract and trying to amass more power? How do we know you'll be
You're-
satisfied? Really?
Does he have enough of a soul left to make a contract with?
That was what I was going to say.
There are other ways to get power and to do other things. It doesn't have to just be contract.
I have enough of a soul left. To figure out how to love. I have no desire to pursue my previous goals. And what will stop me is your mere existence. You are all of you horrifying. And whilst it might not have been me personally or my soul that experienced it, I do very much remember all of the horrible things you did. A good deterrent, if there ever was one.
I rolled a 19 insight for that.
He is being honest.
Okay.
At which point I think Gerald will step forward. And just very quietly, like he doesn't have the right to speak, he just says, I'll vouch for him, if my word still means anything. And if he messes up, I can deal with him myself.
Can you?
I've done that before.
Also just stares at Gerald. Then it's settled. Gerald, I need to speak to you later. You could come out within an hour, please. I'm going to issue an evacuation notice for all of the Appraians. He starts walking towards the door. Karul, if you could think a little bit harder on everything you have to apologise for, then I would really appreciate that. And he'll open the door and leave.
Karul sits back.
Louis will
Wait.
stay behind.
Interesting.
To ask a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you begin to file out.
Slee
Yes.
also
Castle.
lingers against the wall.
Oh my god!
Did we all?
Oscar and Loran leave. Cyrus remains along with the four of you, Gerald included. And you three remain. So, what is it you wish to ask? Karul looks at you and just says, this is surprising, but not unexpected. Those mean the same. Never mind. Anyway. What do you need from me?
He's such a little bitch.
I know. The whole time I was talking, I was like, he's so infuriating.
Um, how did you come to know what you know about Melas? As in, is it because you knew or were, or you knew powerful people, or you were a powerful person magically who can sense that, or did you read it somewhere or speak to someone, or
Part of my magic, Bluey, is involved in moving between planes, opening up dimensions which are otherwise supposed to be secure, available only to the caster. That is how I got the purple stone back from Loran, the playmate. You were powerful.
yeah, Blue might look pointed when she says the like were, you know.
Were. So, when it comes to Melas,
Oh, hi.
it is uncommon to find somewhere with so many openings, with so many not barriers, bridges into other realities and other worlds. As such, it became an area of interest for me, and for a long time I could not pin down exactly where or how to access Melas itself. What I was able to do, however, was I was able to use it as a little experiment. See if I could get in and get out. Using this magic that I myself came up with. Magic that shouldn't exist. The ability to rip open demi-planes and walk through them to access other planes of existence. That's how I know about a lot. And don't forget, Elijah is affiliated with the Temple of Tiamat, who I think, unless you're not aware, are still acting in the north, in Melas. He's noticed you're eating. Oh.
He's like, what? Someone is consuming the foods?
Does that answer your question, Bluey?
Would so many people passing through the tears help keep those bridges to other places strong, in that it's just used so often?
It's not strong, Bluey. It's weak. If the veil is thin, the barrier between worlds is also thin. If that tears, think like silk or fabric. It's just something you can pull apart with your hands. The more people who are sucked through, the wider it becomes. Now, were, for example, an old acolyte of Carmentrand, to wander upon this place just after the tears were opened up, realize the devastation it could cause, see its friends, its allies, he's coming through, sucked through. Oh no, get away.
Do you want me to talk about it?
Yes.
Basil, no. That's not for you. Not for you, Basil.
And
Goodbye.
let me say, this is just a hypothesis. I think you'll understand why I would If I was that acolyte, I saw the destruction this could cause, and I wanted to protect my kingdom, I would perhaps pray for bargain, prosperity, and safety in return for protecting the people.
Sorry, this is bargaining with the tiers themselves.
Karul shrugs. I don't know.
Bargaining.
Bluey, I don't know. It wasn't my area of specialty.
But letting so many people go through such that it doesn't.
Okay, well, come at it from a different angle then. Say the people who were parting off residents didn't know the extent of the damage they were doing in throwing people through. Instead, they wanted to keep the peace. That's also entirely possible. Maybe they wanted to send people through to feed something on the other side.
With Red Lords. 100%.
It's impossible to say, because Bluey, I don't know. I've not been there in this form. I've honestly not really even been to the tiers. I've just seen its impression as I walked through the plains. I think if you want answers, you'll have to go there yourself. See for yourself what the reality is. Otherwise, I can offer you hundreds of potential explanations, but none of them could be right. The one thing I can say for certain is that the Temple of Tiamat has a very vested interest in Melas.
Possibly because that's the way to Feyways, where Tiamat is locked away.
Makes sense.
I like to imagine Karul's just munching this whole time.
Yeah.
Draw boy and cookies.
I brought him a cookie. It's oatmeal raisin.
Ugh.
I think Bluey would look quite. Well, Bluey would look as satisfied as she could with that. She would sort of make her move to leave the room and then say, I hope whatever comes ahead for you does allow you to grow. I also think that it's not necessary for any one of us here to see it happen.
I wouldn't expect you to stick around. But thank you for your work.
Blue would leave, yeah.
Slia, Cass, Zaraza, and Giraffe. Who's next?
Slay gestures for
Form a
Cass.
line.
I think Cass would look Slia. I think she's happy for Slia to go first.
Slia seems
Unless
like she
Slia
wants
was-
to wait. Yeah.
I think
Rock,
Cass
paper, scissors.
players mind and just like, do you want to talk to him in private?
If you wouldn't mind, yes.
Then I will go next.
I can step out if you would like your privacy.
No, I'm fine. You can listen.
I need witnesses.
Is Cass's third intimidation still active, or do I need to roll?
Teleportation. Sorry, communication.
No. The intimidation. I
Oh,
rolled
you can.
That's still in effect, or do you want me to re-roll?
Sure. Let's see if you get a natural 20.
No, that was a 26. That was way too
Still
long
fine.
for the math.
No, still pretty good.
I think Cass would like get quite close to Karul and just be like, I trust this version of you as much as I trusted the other one. This version of you has done bad before signing the contract and since getting out of the contract. You have done nothing to prove we should trust you. And if you betray us, I will take great pleasure in killing you. Obviously, at this point, I won't do anything that will hurt Brian. But I want to believe you, but you, like I said, you've done nothing to show that we can. I think there is just watch it. And if you hurt any member of my party, well, I'll have great fun. I did have a question.
Right.
The hood. I want
This is
as much information on them as possible. You don't have to give it to me now. I want it in detail and in depth. Take your time, write it down.
You can tell that he looked at Gerald when you said the sisterhood as if he was reluctant to say it in front of you. So he nods to that and just says, I will do what I can. My old contacts might still be active. I can give you their names.
Good. Anything you can give me, and as much as possible. Also, so Freya has a contract with the sisterhood or the Larn? Because the sisterhood is aligned with the Larn or with the Taravine? Because there was like, I can't quite remember who. I know it was like a
She
similar.
drew up a contract with the sisterhood.
Right.
Using, I'm pretty sure.
Was it Taravine or Alan as the mediator?
I'm pretty sure it was Taravine who she used as her like deity for that, who would be sort of ferrying her soul. And that's what her soul is for. Because a rift opened up. Sorry, I'm just going off the top of my head. I don't have the actual details on my notes here. A rift opened up in her town and burnt everything, and that's why her throat was so bad. It's so bad because her vocal cords were permanently damaged. And the sisterhood came through there. And she had to placate them somehow, but wanted to take them down, essentially.
So
yeah.
Is it if the sisterhood are destroyed, is her contract done? Or would it have to be Taravine? So before I speak to Chris, I just need to. I can't. It's like dates. I can't fully remember.
You can probably say the way a contract kind of works is if there is disruption on any level that involves the actual parties. So if the contract, so for example, if you were killed, your soul would go off. If the contract itself was destroyed, but the deity or the demon still lived, the soul would not go. If the devil was destroyed, the soul would not go. If an integral part of that contract, so for example, the whole sisterhood, as a general concept, was not around to collect the soul, to collect what they were owed, the demon may still try and get the soul, but they would have no real claim to it because they were only a sort of like conduit.
So basically, the sisterhood is the main target, but you need to also take out Taravine, really.
Yeah, the sisterhood would probably be the main target. The easiest target, if you could find it, would be the actual contract itself. But then again, you remember how much hell you went through to get that. So, yeah.
Literally.
I think, like, I have a friend whose contract is with the sisterhood and Taravine. Where would their contract be located?
You've already been to collect mine. You didn't get a chance to grab it then?
No,
We
all turned around that.
we were waylaid.
He munches a very large grape.
She's out of mouth. No, she doesn't, because that would shoot as a.
I wrote some sausage.
She looks at him in disgust. Great.
What does it say?
Don't know.
So you
basically is that where Freya's
yeah
contract? It would still be the city of brass.
We saw it in there, yeah.
Yeah, you felt it there as well.
Yeah.
It was in hell. It wasn't in the city of in the vaults. That's where you guys got the contracts from.
Plane of fire, wasn't it?
It was in. So you met Freya in the plane of fire. The hells are a different place.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
sides of a coin, essentially.
Is there a way
Sorella
to
could probably do a lot more in helping you get that than Karul could, you get the impression. Considering Karul is completely diminished in power.
Is there a way of getting the contract out without, as in, if one of the party involved were to summon the contract for whatever reason, is that at all, does that happen at all? Is there a way to trigger that?
If an addendum was made, something was added to a contract, then yes. For example, well, maybe I shouldn't use an example.
Stop it.
Karul stops himself short before he says the example of adding Ulster to his contract as a potential vessel.
We already know that, Karul.
It's very wise.
That is the extent of his information. You do think, however, that Sorella, being the type to not freely offer up any inclination of what they might know, any knowledge they might have, would probably be a good person to interrogate on this.
Okay. Cass is like, another slippery bastard to speak to.
Right.
Okay, cool. In that case, Cass would give him a very disdainful look and be like, I'll be waiting on the information on the sisterhood, and she leaves. As she passes Celia a small squeeze on the arm and a little smile, and then she's like back at Karul, and then she's gone.
Celia kind of gives an attempt at a smile.
And Cass, you leaving Saraza, Joral, Celia, and Karul alone in the room. We will take a very quick break, just so that you guys can stretch your legs, get some water, get some tea. If we come back at 10 to, Ish? Is that okay?
Sounds
Okay.
Cool. All right. I'll see you in a sec. So, as Cass leaves the room, Leah, you are the last one remaining. Obviously, Saraza and Doral are also there. Saraza was no way going to let you be here by yourself completely. So,
Yeah, Slia looks at him like, okay.
Karul looks at you expectantly.
Slia finally steps forward off of like the wall.
Excuse me while I brace myself.
What a bitch. Basil's upset.
She just offers her hand to him. Like a handshake.
What's this for?
It's clear that you're not going anywhere anytime soon, and may as well be civil about it, shan't we? You have made your decision, he has made his, and we make peace with that in our own ways and in our own time. You have free will, and I won't stand in the way of that. So, this is peace. Sorry, say again?
All right then. He'll hold out his hand. And very slowly reach to touch you and take your hand.
It's not like a limp noodle handshake, but yeah, like
Yeah.
there's no
Bare
force.
minimum.
Yeah, there's no force or aggression in it. Is more so it's just a very formal. Okay.
Good. Sorry, that was my limp noodle. Karul gives it 2 solid shakes and then releases. You wanted privacy just for that.
Slia looks to Sarazer.
Cyrus is not really looking. Nodding.
You'll have to work on the others much harder. That
He
is
nods and
what it
just
is
says,
for.
and Lily is just calling for me. I think Lala might have knocked something over. Yeah? Oh no. What's he done? The terrarium? The one you got me?
Do you need to go check
Lala
it?
shattered my terrarium. My Sarazo terrarium. I'm just gonna go get the dustpan and brush.
I'm sorry. If only we could speak Lala's language and say, hey, hey, can you pay for that?
We love our pets. We do not charge them rent.
Mm.
And yet landlords.
Do we do? I think we're charging cuddles. We charging cuddles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Big cuddles. Very good cuddles. Oh.
She's like my bottom.
You know, that's so true. Because sometimes you really want cuddles from them, and they're like, "What? You know, just Okay, if I must.
I actually realized that, like, apparently Kay was cuddling me so hard that I have a little bruise right here.
Oh no.
And I mean, I'm sad you're bruised, but also so cute. So we're cuddling so hard that you bruised.
Yeah.
It's a very mixture of emotions, Doris. Mixture of emotions.
Kay is my good boy.
Are they both active right now? Just outside? Or
Oh, the twins? No.
yeah.
She is like conked out like on Ryan's face. She enjoys sleeping there.
Mm.
Kay is kind of wandering like, hey, I saw you walking around. I'm not allowed in there. Because you loud. Very, very loud boy.
It's even if he's loud for you, I guess it hasn't picked up. Hello.
It's a bit of spring this morning.
Wait, were you given those, or did you? I don't know what the surrounds are like. Were you
No.
able to farm those?
My mum got them for me. Because I had COVID. I was sad. So she bought them for me, which is cute.
They're pretty. Lots of different colours.
Yeah.
Appreciate.
I've also got some yellow lilies there.
That's nice.
And then these I bought myself, and they're drying, and they're really nice as well. It's like they're like purple.
Ooh.
Wow. I mean, they look
Basically,
beautiful dried.
yeah. So I bought them, and I said they dry. So I've just basically got there's like plants and flowers everywhere. There's like lavender up here. There's these ones which are also dried as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Doris, if you want out, get out.
I love that they can do that.
Yeah, it's cute when they sleep in my room and the door they get out and then they start crying and wake me up because they don't want just out, they want me up. And I'm like, if you want to get out of my room, get out. I'm not getting up to help you out. You could do it yourselves.
I love how she just turned into a little person.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, she's intelligent, but honestly, she is a bit of a cheeky monkey.
Also, I'm gonna go ahead and just pause the recording again.
Okay.
You release Karul's hand,
Release the hands.
and you seem to be at, as much as you can be, an accord. So, is there anything else you wish to say to him?
No, she's like basically once she's like shaking his hand, giving him the I don't know, issuance of a détente, so to speak. Or like a peace treaty-ish thing. Combining words. And she's gonna go, yeah. Unless they stop her for any reason.
I think Jarrell would follow you to the door, and he would just say, I don't know how to act around the others. I don't know what to do. Celia, you're the only person. He doesn't finish his sentence, but you kind of get the impression that he feels like you're the only person left that he's got any good faith.
he would definitely get the impression that she still has faith in him. I don't control them. Only myself. And you're gonna have to re-earn their trust. But you did it once already, and against all odds, here we are. Show them that you're still
He
a
just
man.
nods. I'm still. Did you say you're still in there?
Yeah.
I never.
You
I don't think I
left.
ever left.
Just me.
Sorry, that's not Slee cracking up, that's just me. Okay.
Good night, Steve. Good morning, good day. Have a good day.
Yes.
I didn't sleep.
Sleep is kind of necessary at the moment.
Wise words, Karul says from the background.
Without even looking away from Gerald, she just goes,
Right.
Girl's a meme now.
Gerald just nods and then takes a step away.
Slay does kind of like smile a little bit, which is like probably one of the first times she's really like smiled since, I don't know, the past 2 days.
Yeah. Since before the death.
Gotcha.
Do you want me to send Valis up? Or are you not ready for that yet? You should see him now.
I'll wait outside for him and we can figure something out from then.
Okay.
You can tell that Karul looks a little bit like exasperated but doesn't complain. Gerald, just if you want to leave, you can leave.
Like, yeah, if he doesn't have anything else to, like, the natural ending point of the conversation, Slee will kind of nod and I'll send him up for you.
And you will leave the room with Sarasa as well. Right, on the other side of the wall, as Celia leaves about 5 minutes delayed after the rest of you. Ulster, you were the first to get out.
I think Ulster got he moved far enough away that he couldn't be heard, so I think he probably got back into the main foyer area, and then he just fell to his knees and silently started crying, and it looks like all the weight of the emotions has just hit him, and he's just sitting in the center of the room, just like.
Loran, not even missing a beat, is there with you, holding you, and he takes you into a separate room somewhere quieter, private, and he just presses his hands underneath your eyes, wiping away your tears and magicking them somewhere else. And he just says, yeah, you can feel it.
I want him to apologize.
As far as they go, it was a pretty shitty apology.
I want him to keep apologizing. Everything.
You ruined your life.
It wasn't just me. This was so long ago, but that person lying in the bed is exactly the one who walked through the doors of the Maasai. Everyone else in that trading party ignored me, and he came over to talk to me. And I thought I'd finally found a friend. I didn't know that friend would try and destroy everything about me. And I don't blame this fragment. I'm really trying not to, but I can't control the way I feel, as I suppose none of you can. But if he can apologise, it's a start.
That it is. Was there he was going to use you from the start. It was a lie. Perhaps there was a ring of truth, that from his perspective he was trying to lure you towards his family. Bring you into the fold in whatever his plans were.
I know what he would have done to me. I don't need.
However, the person that you knew doesn't exist. There's only one person in this entire mansion who actually knows what Karul is, what his heart is like. And I never thought that I would be the one to say this. I'm going to listen to Dural. Give the benefit of the doubt for now. So long as he forgives. He apologizes to you for everything. I'm not in charge of anything here. It's all in your hands.
I think I always just wanted him to apologise and explain.
Well, now you know.
Don't tell anyone else. Because I do want the information he has, but I also want him to apologise. He didn't even apologise to me when he was dying.
Didn't really have any vocal cords left. Or a tongue.
Don't joke, please. Ulster gets up. I need to show my face to the people.
At which point, the rest of you kind of slowly start trickling into the foyer. And you can definitely tell when you see Ulster again that there's emotion, tears. But what you do now, it's a good joke.
It's a good joke, but I'm gonna need you to stop.
Now you all meet again.
I think Cass would want to have a chat with Brian. If Brian is sort of receptive to it.
Also, it looks like he's getting ready to go. So if you pull him aside, then he'll wait.
I think she would pull him aside and be like, I had a conversation with. How are you? I think she's. I think I'm going to say it like I'm going to say several things, and I think she's going to say all of them in successive order. She's going to be like, I had a conversation with fake Brian. How are you? I'm so sorry. I didn't realize Are you okay?
I am doing well given the circumstances. How are you?
Being possessed is not fun, and I'm so sorry I didn't realize sooner. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what exactly.
You must have put on a half-decent show.
Not as good as it could be, but unfortunately, none of us are doing particularly well at the minute. I think he found a place in our vulnerabilities and could hide there.
I don't blame any of you for not noticing, if that's what you're worried about.
It's not. I'm worried about you and how you're coping.
I think I'm going to be okay. I can see a way the catharsis going forward. And I'm glad that we have the information we do, because if what Sinestro and Karul are saying is true, not only is the palace under threat, but the entire Messiah. So from the people that we hate the most, we got the information that might save us. So I'm feeling pretty positive about that, at least.
Well, I'm glad that there's a silver lining to this all. I did speak with Brian prior to this, and I don't know whether now is the right time for that conversation or not. I know that there's a lot to do. I understand that you're a ruler and that there will be certain decisions that you and Lucas will make with Messiah, and that has nothing to do with any of us. But with decisions like deciding to speak to Karul in the contract, there is so many rifts now in this group. I think we need to learn better to speak to each other before making any rash decisions. It's not just you. We've all done it. Every single one of us has made decisions which have wide repercussions for everyone. And I'm just scared of how much these decisions are causing distance, when the more distance between us, the more Elijah or Karul or someone can get in.
I don't plan on making any more rash decisions. I think I was very affected when Slia died, and I take responsibility for how quickly I made a poor decision. And of course, I'll let you all know when I'm acting in a way that will affect the whole party. As for Karul being out now, I apologise again. I'll keep apologising. But the information he has, I will continue to use, but in a way that you will deem safe, and not in a way that will be destructive to any one member of the party. Even though I don't think that he would intend to hurt, he's quite a hurtful person. So I'm
What's
aware
done
of
is,
that.
and we must make the best of it. There's cracks in all of us, and I just worry. But we don't need to, there's a lot to do. I just want you to know that I love you and I'm here for you. And it's a really fucking shit time. So if you need someone to drink with or throw shit at a wall or just sit in silence with, then I'm here.
Of you all too. I'm going to do better. I didn't realise when I made the contract that I'd had my memory wiped again. I don't know why, and I don't know when, but I didn't know that what I was bargaining away was going to be essentially my life. That wasn't intentional, and I don't want to die. I don't want anyone to have the impression that I'm willing to die or suffer as
Sorry.
much as you all seem to think I am.
We don't.
And I am.
It's been a hard year. And the decisions we make now are influenced by everything we've been through. So it's not that I don't understand why the decision was made. It's just, like you say, it's fine. It's done. I just wanted to speak to you before continued, and I'm so glad you're back. And Cass will give him a big hug.
Also, will hug her back. If you have any idea who wiped my memory, I'd like to know how much they took, but it feels weird knowing that I'm one step away from losing my entire mind, and I'm sorry that you can't take out your anger on Karul because of me. I know there's a lot of anger towards him.
Taking anger out on someone that doesn't deserve it is not right, but Karul has not shown himself to be super trustworthy at the minute, so we shall see if he breaks the contract himself. So Cass doesn't know that Zarina took the memories, does she, for Brian? But she knows that there was a bit of an iffy time between Loran and Saraza, and then it seemed to be fine. But Cass doesn't know anything else, does she?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who took your memories, but I think it might have been your choice. If that makes it any better. But I unfortunately don't have much information.
Kind of weighing it up, just, is this memory worth? Also, it looks like he's thinking of things. No. I was going to say, is it worth putting the memory back to save my mind? But if I chose to have a memory removed, if I chose to have it removed, then
What
it was
about,
probably for a good reason.
because Cass would know that the other memory was killing your dad, wasn't it?
I don't want that memory back.
No, which you do know about.
I don't want that back.
Loran at this point, I think, would say that it's not quite how it works in terms of memories.
I think, like you say, if you've had it taken away, it would have been taken away for a reason. We'll just have to proceed with caution to make sure that nothing else happens.
Yeah.
Right,
Look at
now
me
let's
putting myself into these situations.
Loran grimaces. And then he'll just kind of like hold the back of your neck and just run his hands through your hair. It'll be okay.
Well, I'm going to go show some face. If anyone else wants to come around, I'm going to issue an evacuation order. We need to have some supplies ready to send over. If we can evacuate them back to a prayer, I'll have to discuss with Lucas where exactly, because I don't want to put them back into Eldrelith, given that we're probably going to launch an attack on Elijah. countermeasures.
Laura,
Hello.
would you mind doing a sending for me
Also, okay. Where's it going?
to my father?
So,
Okay. Hey, Dad. Stay away from Eldrelith. It's not safe. But she's also like, it's in a prayer, so she doesn't really know what to do because she doesn't want him to leave a prayer and potentially bring an infection out. So she's sort of get as far from Eldrelith and Ironstone as possible. Take your wife and supplies and try not to contact anyone or see anyone.
you send your message.
Yeah.
And after a moment, you get a reply. Currently in Ironstone.
Right.
In Ironstone.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks.
Selling wares at the weekend market. Will leave soon. Find me at home. It's far away enough. And you know home to be the twin towns of Brohad and Dion.
Yeah.
Haven't had those names in a while, have we? Brohad. What was I thinking? It's funny.
I think Cass would want to make him leave earlier, but like it's not like that she hasn't really had much of a relationship with him, and she doesn't think he would actually go
Yeah.
if she was like, you need to leave now. So she's just gonna be like, cool.
Cool. Loran says sent and sent. So
Right.
Thank you.
friends, what do we do now? Obviously Bluey and Neff and Sleer, you are both there. At which point Neff, who's been quite quiet this whole time, just says, if we're gonna be here for a few days, then I would like to help out in healing as much as I can. But my mum and sister are still here, so I would like to go and speak with them for a moment, if that's okay. Try and understand if they're all right after all this.
Yeah. And heal as many of the Apraeans as you can before we evacuate them. If you
For
can.
sure.
Oh, we.
Freya and Kalkan have a really strong trading reputation, so I can
heal.
They all healed.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Well, I can check with the Kalkans just in case there's anything suspicious with them as well.
Karul suggested that we evacuate all of the Apraeans, but if they're healed, would it not be safer to keep them here and evacuate Pico Taro? Sorry, I've been a bit out of it for a few days, so I need the details.
Loran says, I suppose Karul wouldn't have known they were all healed, so it's up to us.
Okay, so if this disease can be healed, if we can ascertain that there's no traces of it left in them, I say we move them out of the palace. If they are already moved out, great. Focus our efforts on evacuating Pico Taro to a safe location in a prayer, given his very nature can't be healed.
I think the important thing that we give the Apraeans the choice whether they want to go back to a prayer, and if we explain what everything that they might face there, if we want to avoid a political incident, then they need to choose what they want to do, even if they choose to go back.
It's just knowing that the very earth in a prayer might be infected.
Oh, I agree.
Back.
They come back, but I think, unfortunately, if they want to, we can't do anything about it.
If they go
Also-
back, I can't promise that they'll be safe. They should all know that.
Exactly. If we inform them everything we know, then hopefully they will make the decision to stay. But if Elijah has done this to hurt us and potentially cause issues between the Messiah and a prayer, then there's a reason that these are the people that have come to a coronation. They're powerful people in a prayer. And if it gets out that they're being held against their will, then that's an incident in itself.
No one
And
will be held
hopefully,
against their will.
if they know the full situation, they'll choose to stay.
Ulster, how much
Bluey.
more time do you need to recover? Also, sorry for interrupting.
That's okay, don't worry.
No,
I'll just say to Bluey, upon hearing all of this information, you would be very aware of the fact that it was very difficult to get the Winterbrands to leave Melas, considering the situation that Melas is in. And you get the impression that even if they know, those three are likely to go back. So those two are likely to go back.
I mean, they're healed, and I do agree that, if they know as much as possible about what's happened to them and what will happen to them again until we fix things, then what was my point?
We need to stop Elijah, to stop the cause of the magic.
I mean, they know that they can be healed, and then they would know that others could be healed. I reckon people like Marlena, is it Frederick that was also around in the tent? Yes. And Frederick would really want to get back, and well, as long as they stay not too close to Eldrelith, they won't progress again at a fast rate.
Good point.
And maybe they could feel like they could do a bit more, having been healed now.
We could send Pico Taro, if we're focusing on the north of Aprilia. There's the Temple of Bahamut up there. If he needs some sort of cleansing, or people who are experienced with undead,
We have allies up there.
we do. We could pull a favour with Shrekamus or Gondo.
Oh my god.
Have Pico Taro contained in the temple. They would probably be able to stop the curse from spreading, and if there was any contingency, I'm sure they could deal with it.
Bluey, don't you also the ransom leans forward? Bluey, don't you also have a man on the inside who's kind of basically been around Melas just to let you know how things are going on? Speaking of Monsversvald.
Mr. X.
Mr. X. Mr. X.
Don't tell anybody that you know this.
Of course not.
Yes. From what IT said, he's just sort of strangely been around a long time. I have not contacted him through you or Slayer or anyone else for a while.
If we have people who are skilled in sneaking around and gathering information, perhaps we could use them.
Okay.
I have a somewhat potentially terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I'm scared.
As far as Elijah knows, I'm dead. I think it would be unwise to bring me to Eldrelith. So what if we split the group, sent some ahead to Melas and others to Eldrelith to get the book?
No. Nope, it's not happening. Sorry, Slayer.
Okay.
I'm going to pull my veto card out and say no.
I did say that it was a potentially very terrible idea.
We'll disguise you up as much as possible. I mean, I know he's super magical, so it might not work, but I know. We'll put you in a locket rather than...
SPF.
It's Leah. Loran walks forward. This could be also a terrible idea and maybe impossible, I don't know. But you and the rest of this party are proven, myself included, to be able to achieve the impossible multiple times. If you were to spend the next 2 days with Gerald, do you think you could learn how to do that face shifting thing? You're a drow. It would probably be an insult to suggest it to him, but
I'm talking to him later. I can ask with Leah.
And take her face.
Or if that's too painful, just someone else.
It's fine.
Speaking of, I will have Sinestro executed tonight. I've decided to expedite it. I don't want to draw this out anymore.
That was the other thing I was going to suggest, is if you don't need extra time to recover, then let's not wait on me.
Oh no, we'll wait.
We're going to wait until we can wait for 2 days. I also need to rest, but not in the same way you do. If I eat and let my magic start up again, I'll be okay. So just focus on yourself. You say it's 2 days. Let's have 2 days to plan. Have Sinestro executed, have her body sent back, deal with the situation with Pico Taro, pull whatever favours we can, see if Karul has any more information. The first thing I'm going to do, and also is pulling his hair back into a ponytail, I am going to walk around and greet my people who have not seen me be here for a few days, which seems bad. So, good day to all of you. Bye. And he will steer himself out.
Does he take Loran with him?
Yes, he loops his arm with Loran.
Okay. Well, you go, you can do this, certainly.
He's got a Wei Wuxian ponytail.
Yes. Everybody else, what are your plans?
Cass would go find Freya.
Okay. That's easy enough. You're also aware that what's it? Was it
Freya has
Ulster?
Valis, I think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone mentioned they were going to bring Valis, so
Also, going back in an hour to talk to Doral as well.
So if Sleer, do you want to go with them to do that?
Yes, Leah's going to go with Cass then.
Sure. Bluey, what do you want to do?
If I think she'd want to get back to the Apraeans, and I think it would be clear upon entering that she does, she's happy to answer questions, but while other people are there and not right now. So she wants to go back and just rest a bit. CIT, yeah.
Okay. Bluey, you want to sort of like go, you want to go to find, IT, be with everyone again. And you realise you need to kind of, gather yourself a little bit and sort of taking like stock of your situations, what you have on you. You realise as you kind of like reach to your sword to make sure you're well armed and prepared for anything that might come on your way, you kind of pull it out and you realise instead of your sword of Asalios, you have Loran's prop greatsword on you.
Yep.
No, that was sweet.
So where did Bluey see Loran last, or where did
He
she
has
see?
just gone off with Ulster.
Okay. She will detour to Brian's room. I mean, Loran's probably cast his mansion somewhere else. Maybe I can't
Sure.
remember. Oh, she would have. No, she wouldn't. I don't know.
That's okay. You can head up
Brian
to
is
Brian's room.
like to be seen by people.
Blue would leave that sword in a non-threatening sort of position in
Come back to the
Brian's
room, there's
room.
a sword stabbed through their pillow.
Could
Like,
you imagine? But no, yeah, she'd leave that. She might think about like, I mean, could he be trained? And maybe later.
you know that Loran is not one to maybe pick up a sword. Sarah's on the other hand, maybe. Well, definitely. But you kind of feel along the blade, and this is a dull sword. Best used for sparring or decoration.
Instead of slashing, could it do bludgeoning damage?
Yes, it definitely could in your hands. In your capable hands. So you stab it into the bed. No, you leave it in a non-threatening position, and you can go and reclaim your usual sword, and head back out to meet the Apraeans. They all seem to be fine. They're still under guard, but slightly more slackened watch compared to usual, given that they've been healed. Marlena is talking with her father, and kind of rapid fire, you can hear them organising. We have to go back soon. I don't feel safe here anymore, considering the dangers that our people are under, or dangers that our people are exposed to. And Frederick is trying to calm her down, and that's kind of the sort of atmosphere you walk in on. IT is the first to approach you, and she looks very relieved to see you. And she just says, "We're planning on leaving soon, I think."
That does sound good.
You'll come too, right?
I won't be able to.
I really need you.
I know.
But you're needed somewhere else more.
I'm needed somewhere else sooner.
IT looks a little bit down. You continue? Yeah.
Oh, that's almost all of Bluey's thought there. I'm needed somewhere else sooner, not necessarily more. Yeah.
She looks a bit down, and then she just says to you, "Louis, I'm taking my personal feelings out of it, just so you know. I think we got this. If you need to go to Eldrelith, then go. If you need to go to Ironstone, to another plane of existence, go. But I would like you to come back to us. I know that some people don't come back from these kinds of things, and every time you leave, I worry that I won't ever see you again. So if you can just Promise me here and now that even if you leave, if we're parted, it's not forever. Because if you can't make that promise, then I'm sorry, and she puffs up her chest, but you're going to have to come with me so that I can protect you.
Blue doesn't smell like that. That's just, I love it. She will hold as gently, slowly as possible. She will hold out a pinky, and a promise.
You loop it around, and she clenches tightly, and then brings her hand in for a kiss.
And then she kisses her hand. I'll be back to help, and then I promise to be back for good when it'll be a choice to do so, a choice to stay, rather than some god having a sway.
I like that. IT lets go, and you guys busy yourselves helping the Apraeans, settling people. You can tell that they're getting restless, ready to move again. And there's a point where IT is at one side of the tent and you're outside, kind of helping secure things down, and Marlena comes out. And she passes you. She doesn't stop to speak to you, but as she passes, you just hear her say in your direction, "Don't make promises you don't know if you can keep." And she just keeps walking, leaving you kind of just kneel there on the snoot. And I'm going to cruelly rip you all. Sleia, you make your way with Cass towards Freya, who is, I think, currently playing with Valis in the garden, somewhere where she feels quite comfortable, considering that is where she spent most of her time with Cass. And they're making daisy chains together. And when Valis sees you, he rushes over and presents you with a tiny little daisy bracelet, one for each of you, and secures it at your wrist, and just says, "Why are you guys being so weird? You guys being weird."
Did you go meet your dad?
He's addressing you, Sleia.
Yeah. Sleia, like the moment she sees Valis starts tearing up.
Why are you crying? Oh my gosh, only sillies cry. I've never cried in my
You
life.
were crying a few hours ago,
I'm not a
Alice.
silly. I'm not a silly.
Nothing to worry about. I will say that, like, Cass probably could incite that.
Well, funnily enough, Valis scrunches up his face like,
He can try.
Bullets forward and gives you a hug.
No.
Oh no. Now she's sobbing.
Oh.
Sleia just the full Geralt here, just like, oh no. Oh.
I made it worse.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I make it worse.
She just like holds on to him for a minute.
He flails out the hand and grabs Cass and just pulls her in until you're a big cuddle puddle. Because he knows you like that. And you guys can hold each other there for as long as you need.
I know you've been being watched by others, but your father would like to see you.
Yeah, I'm worried about him. He's been weird. Been super weird.
Yeah. He'll probably explain it to you.
Okay. Well, you can't go right now because you're crying. That'll look super silly.
Speaking of super silly, look at this super silly.
Oh,
Can we see the super silly? Oh. What a baby. Oh, that tail, just like a
Being
cloud.
super silly.
silly. So, you guys cuddle as long as you need. Freya kind of, after a while, just coughs like and you extricate yourselves. And
Yeah,
the
Sleia
four of you make your way.
tries to like walk him back to leave Cass and Freya some privacy.
Okay, yeah. Depending on what Cass wants to do, Freya and Cass can stay behind, and you can walk Valis back to the mansion. Holding your hand, he kind of just like jumps at your side, and you open up the door, and there is a table of dips and sweets that are meant more for children's appetites. Little waffle cones with different ice creams, cookies. Sorelloras is just so accommodating. Great cook. Oh. Valis gorges himself instantly. Just like, you know, my dad likes whipped cream the best.
Sleia assumes that, like, the moment Valis has entered the mansion, that Geralt knows he's there. Like, that
Yeah.
with that perception, you know.
You look up at the stairs and you just see Geralt's eyes just like glinting, peeking past the door. Valis, meanwhile, completely oblivious, is just like, yeah, I like sugar because it stops me falling asleep. I fall asleep a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you're
Weird.
young. It makes sense, you know. You only have so much
How's
energy.
narcolepsy?
You're young. It makes sense. Immediately
Yeah.
falls asleep.
Sorry to interrupt, Emma. Sorry, I was just having a call with my colleague, and I'm now going to have my meeting. So
That's okay. I'm going to wrap up very soon.
Okay.
Do you want to be in the mansion with Sarah?
I think basically what Cass will be doing is she'll be speaking. She's going to go speak to Freya about finding stuff with Karul, and then she will be like, "We should probably speak to Sorelloras about your contract and if there's anything we can do to get it." And then she'd probably take Freya to go speak to Sorelloras. But she'd also say, "Whoops, me and Sorelloras are not great right now. So I think she'd ask Freya's opinion, like whether do you want to go with me right now and speak to them, or do you want to maybe try and get someone that's on better terms with Sorelloras to sort of lead that conversation? Because I did try and bitch slap her. Then.
Sure, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, you guys can wrap that up.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Bye, George.
You.
Bye.
Bye, George.
Bye.
So, okay, the echo is gone now, I think. So, Valis is picked up by Geralt, and the two of you, take him to a spare room, which has been set up, you know, with a slightly smaller bed and a bigger bed in the corner for Geralt to sleep in as well. The magic of this mansion never fails to surprise you. And as he's kind of tucking him up in bed, Geralt looks over at you, Sleia, and he just says, I do trust him. I'm just trying to figure out how to tell him. everything. He's never known us together.
And now you get to choose how you go forward with that. He probably can tell that she's just been sobbing. She's not even like, she's wiped it away, but her eyes are definitely red and puffy.
I'm sorry. I don't know what caused this, but if it was me and
It's not your fault.
Karul, I'll leave it then. Thank you for bringing him.
Of course.
I need to go speak with Ulster now. Could you watch him for me, just for a time?
Sure. If you want, you can roll insight, but he might have picked up that
He might just.
Slee is seeing kind of a reflection of what she's giving up, what she'll never have. Just right in her face. And like her seeing Valis really, like after hearing Karul say that all he wants is a family, is really hitting her.
Jarrell, watching you for a moment, says, I'll find Farinia on the way. I don't think she's asleep yet anymore.
Thanks. Thank you. Like she's barely keeping it together anymore.
And he leaves you just like that, and in his sleep, Valis reaches out a hand and just like kind of like grabs onto you. That little.
He just kind of like wraps him up and.
Ulster?
Ye.
You and Loran are making your way through the corridors of the palace, and people are definitely pleased to see you. Lucas as well is glad that you are up and about and kind of actively able to sort of like have agency and speak to your people again. Things, in spite of everything, are calming down.
Mm-hmm.
Not that many people saw Sleer actually die.
Mm.
And on top of that, a lot of the uproar can be put down to magic gone a bit awry, which is not uncommon. Those who need to know.
The girls who girl?
Girl. The girls who gornt. And you are able to make your way through. Is there anyone in particular looking out for?
I think, for the sake of brevity, Ulster is just making sure he stops and speaks to people, no matter if they're like noble or lower. Like he'll just stop and talk to people, especially if they look particularly worried. Just share his like face around, his good words, make sure people are comforted. And make
Jesus,
sure.
Is that you?
Jesus.
Good word.
No, he'll just be very friendly. He'll also keep an eye out for Kev, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And give Kev a hug if he sees him.
Kev, you do find eventually bringing plates and plates and plates of sandwiches and food out from the kitchens. He's actually taken a lot more of like a directorial role in telling the catering staff, the sort of medical team, everyone, where to go in that kind of regard. Those two sort of aspects specifically, he seems to be doing quite well in, making sure everything is hospitable and clean. Not that it wouldn't be, but in all the chaos, there are some things that might have been missed off. And when he sees you, he just falls to his knees and just holds you around the waist and just like, ah! And that's it. But he makes exactly that noise.
Ulster picks him up and gives him a proper hug. Doing good, Kev.
Nah, thank you. I've been trying so hard.
Okay. Please return my clothes from your room when you have the time. Pats him.
How are your family members and your colleagues and your party?
They're all
alive?
okay. Yeah.
Sarah's is alive too?
Yes. Sarah's was never dead.
Oh, good.
Slee is fine.
Oh my goodness, of course.
Can I insight check him?
Yeah.
17.
He kind of is obviously like concerned for someone's well-being above the other members of your party.
Ulster just looks at Loran. He's like,
Loran's just like, what? Like, he's not. This is the first he's hearing of anything like this.
he will nod and smile at Kev, and on their way, if there's no other scene that we're playing out, he'll say quietly to Loran, in Sylvan, I think Kev has a crush on Sansa.
Loran goes, ew. Well, they are both obsessed with nobility and royals and stuff.
That's a bit unfair on Sansa.
It's very true.
Kev,
He knows what he's good at.
yes, he's a very sweet person. I support him in his endeavours, and I think if he and Sansa were ever to become an item, that would be quite funny.
Considering Cyrus has had so many failed loves, I get the impression Kev would put his whole heart into it. Maybe.
Do you know Kev sleeps on a big orthopedic mattress and puts his hair in rollers every night?
That is hilarious. You know, Sarasa sleeps on a wooden slab.
They might have to have a little chat about that.
No, I feel like Kev could be good for Sarasa.
Yeah.
His hair in rollers! That's so cute.
I even hear he has a little silk bonnet that he puts on.
What are you doing? Describe my sleeping patterns. As you're having this conversation, if there's anything else you want to say, Gerald, kind of walking through the corridors, obviously looking for you, comes across you.
Gerald.
He keeps his distance and he just says, you wanted to talk.
Yeah. How are things in the mansion?
He looks around and kind of considering the very public place, he just says,
Also switch to undercommon when they're talking.
even so, he just said,
Yeah.
Good. Fine.
Good.
Loran is very stiff.
Loran, could we possibly use the front entrance of your mansion? Or would you rather?
Of course. Clicks his fingers on the door. A few moments later.
Also will lead Dralin.
Loran mind messages you and just said, do you want to be alone?
Anything I say you can listen to.
I'll be outside the door.
Also will sit with Dral in the front.
Gerald doesn't look like he knows what to do with his hands. He's kind of just standing, awkwardly moving.
You can sit down.
Not very relaxed. You offer that and he perches on the furthest corner of the sofa.
Right. Well, there's a few things I wanted to talk about. Starting with tonight, we will be executing Sinestro.
Yeah.
And if you are still willing and able to, I think having you execute her would be a fitting end.
I can do that. I can do that, definitely, yes.
Can I insight check him?
Yeah.
God, I'm rolling quite shit, but that's a good roll. 19.
He does not know what to do with himself. He's trying his best.
Dral, please don't. We don't need to talk about it right now, but I don't. You still have my trust.
I feel like I shouldn't.
I understand why you did what you did. And even though I wasn't there for it, I know you didn't want to put me in harm's way. The only thing that I am upset about is having to hear what Sarasa saw. But again, I understand. If it was someone I loved, I understand.
He doesn't say. You don't think he can.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was what your plans are going forward, considering we need to keep Karul in probably Srelaras's mansion until his contract is destroyed. For his own safety as well. Alarm will not be happy to know he's walking around in a body again.
I believe that Srelaras's interests are very much vested with your own, and your success if you ask it of them. I suppose that they would go where you need them, including if you needed Karul to be kept there for lengths of time. Then
we need the information Karul has as well.
In those cases, I know you have that locket.
You want me to put him in there?
He won't like it, but I can keep it in there.
That's a good plan, considering Srelaras has proven that they're not particularly keen on divulging all their information. Okay. If you can convince Karul to stay in the locket, I will bequeath it to you.
And I do still think that speaking to Srelaras would be a good idea, considering that they have friends in high places.
Yeah. We'll need Cass to start wards in the locket as well to stop Elijah from reaching in.
Good.
And Valis.
Yes.
I can grant him sanctuary here. We need Karul to stay with us, and I know you want to stay with Karul, and I know Valis cannot come. I don't want to put him through any more than he has been.
You don't wholly trust Srelaras, do you?
I don't wholly trust many people. The people I give my trust to, maybe I don't even wholly trust them, but I choose to give it, knowing the consequences.
He just nods.
If we were to leave Alice in the palace, I can ensure his protection. It's a good place to keep a child safe. My father thought so.
When you say that, Geralt, something crosses Geralt's face, but he doesn't say anything.
I have a feeling it won't be for very long anyway. Things are getting much faster.
He seems to like Daniel and Lucas, so they could look after him.
They could foster him for the few weeks that we would be away.
Also, if something happens to me and him, even after everything I've done, would you still... Would you...
Do you want me to look after him?
Couldn't get the words out. It feels like I shouldn't even be asking, considering everything.
Also looks at the door where he knows Lorana's leaning. I would want to look after him. I would protect him. Maybe I wouldn't be able to adopt him, but if anything happens to the both of you, I'll ensure Valis has a good life and is loved. Give him sanctuary where he needs it.
And if something happens to just me, make sure you take him for 6 months of the year.
If something happens to just you, I would do everything in my power to bring you back. Again. You weren't resurrected, you were reincarnated. This is a fresh body. I have hope for it.
He kind of looks at his hands and he just says, I was surprised that I still had my magic.
It's tied to the soul. I guess it's why Karul could use my magic. I was still in there.
He couldn't make flowers. He tried.
He kind of like folds his hands in his lap. Parts of my magic are part of my essence. The flowers keeping me alive. I don't think Karul knew that. And I don't think he intended to try and hurt me. But he did almost. Also kind of like rubs his stomach, which is a bit more like sunken than usual. I would have died. And I don't blame you for not knowing that. I don't blame him for not knowing that. But he can never do this again to anyone.
I don't want him to.
That body is his last chance.
When everything's finished, I'll take him away. And you'll never have to see him again.
I'd like to see you again, though. I was going to ask you. He kind of like rifles in his bag and pulls out a half-finished kind of scroll, slides over. I was going to appoint you. Give you a permanent position. You wouldn't have to be here all the time, but it would be some kind of finance and protection from the Messiah and for Valis. You would have leave to travel the world.
And we thought about a job.
The
Position.
position would be as a bodyguard to my family and myself, and an assassin to our enemies, in which you would start by executing Sinestro. But I'd like to limit the execution part. It would just be a formal title.
I'll do it then.
I'll properly finish the contracts then, but it's not it's not one that you'll have to wear on your back. Don't worry.
Should go away.
Once we destroy it.
And Ulster, you might not want to hear this, but I have to say it. And if I put it off anymore, I don't think I will. I'm sorry that I'm sorry that I gave in to my emotions. That I killed him. There's nothing towards you.
I know that. Sarah's was convinced for a moment, apparently. I forgive you. I think maybe you should apologize to Loran as well. But don't shoulder all the blame. I intend to have Karul apologize for much more. Once he remembers what it is exactly he's apologizing for. Maybe you could help him with that.
He knows. I'll try.
I'll send up some books whilst he's stuck in that room. His least favourite books from the library. I will collect them and send them over.
Only books in languages he can't read.
He used to buy me books and cook.
I know.
I was wondering whether you remembered anything from the house, whether you saw any of.
I was not there. He didn't let me see anything.
Good.
You can ask Loran.
I've been there recently.
Maybe you can go back there again. Well, we have an execution to plan and a monarch to send back to his country. I will need to send some messages to one Shrekamis of Tassian, which I am not looking forward to, but it's necessary. Thank you for the talk, and I will have the paper ready for you to sign before Sinestro dies. Sleia wants her body sent back to her people. So
That disturbs Gerald very visibly. But he doesn't say anything.
you can talk to Sleia if you have any thoughts about that. I can't comment on the Drow culture.
Culture of Batar. Anyway. I've come to learn there are plenty of Drow who don't. Fall to the same vices.
I think I've liked all the Drow I've met, actually. Apart from the ones who actively tried to kill us. You and Sleia. I love both of you. And Valis, even though he's only looks so much like Karul. In the dark, he does reflect like you used to.
I look a lot more like his father now than I did.
Well. Also, it looks like he's going to make a joke, but shakes his head.
I want to know what the joke was.
He's like, what a perfect little family portrait.
Oh no. Joel stands up and says, "I'll go."
Yeah. Are you going to show Valis? Cool. Do you need any support?
When we're ready to leave that day, then I'll let them see each other.
It's in 2 days' time.
So I have a day to.
If you need any of us there, or you'd rather we weren't to support, let us know.
With that, Gerald stands up and exits the room. And Loran is standing there in the doorway. And they just kind of pass each other. Loran doesn't say anything or really look in his direction. But he looks at you.
Also kind of slumped back in the couch.
A weight off or more trauma?
No, that was good. Just want to stay here for a few minutes.
That's fair.
Unless you're going to shut the door. Seal me in.
Loran comes in and shuts.
Hmm.
I'll seal us both. And he goes over to the sunflowers, kind of taking your hand and pulling you along. To sit with your children.
Also takes a deep breath and just collapses back into the flowers. A whole blossom starts up underneath him. It's like, that feels much better.
And just like that, I think we'll end our session for
Wait, now Emma's going to go work a 5-hour shift.
Yay! I have a second job, which means I can work in the afternoons, evening. So, but also, it's a job that finishes in time where if we ever had to do an evening session for D&D.
Very nice.
You're in.
And also, thus
I've got
endeth
to
the
get on
recording.
Yes.